Go ahead. Go ahead. All right,
Nice.
what's happening, everybody? Welcome and welcome back to the Drummers Education Connection. My name is Jeremy Steinkohler. I'm here with three terrific drummers and great friends today. We're here every Tuesday morning at 11 a.m. Pacific time, talking about drums, interviewing drummers, interviewing industry people, and whatever you want to hear us talk about, we'd love to hear. We know about it. So if you have comments or suggestions or ideas for shows you'd like to see, please let us know. Today, I'm with my usual friends, Bart Robley down in Southern California, Chip Rivers from Tucson, Arizona. Rick, unfortunately, wasn't unable to join us today. He had to pick up Julie at the airport, but he's here in spirit, and we'll talk about Rick a little bit. And we're delighted to have a good friend of mine and a local drummer here in the Bay Area, Bryan Bowman. Welcome to the Drummers Education Connection.
Bryan, it's nice to meet you and have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, our pleasure. Yeah, this is we should have done this like a year ago. So before we get started talking to Bryan, we like to do our segment called Good Things. And before we do our segment called Good Things, I want to remind you guys that we have a Patreon page. Chip's going to stick the link in the comments. If you dig what we do, check it out. You can get free stuff if you become a Patreon supporter. There's books of ours, there's videos that we're giving away, and all it takes is a couple bucks a month to help us keep the lights on. So we like to start out our show with a little segment called Good Things, and this we started during COVID. The whole show started during COVID, and so there was a lot of shitty things happening during COVID, and we thought, let's focus on the things that are going well for us, and it seems like that's a good idea in general. Of course, we don't have Rick, our sort of Mr. Energy of the Sun, positive hand grenade, as Bart likes to call it.
Positive energy hand grenade.
Nonetheless, we're going to talk about good things going on. So, Bart, I'm going to kick it to you. What's happening for you, man?
You know what, man? It's a great day here in Ontario, California, getting ready to go out to Texas to do some shows with the Sam Morrison Band. So that's really good. We leave early Friday morning for a flight out there. But today, what's really good, a really good thing, is that in the mail, I got my newest copy of Rick Stojak's How to Build a Drum Groove Volume 4. Now, all of you guys that know that we've been doing this for a while, Rick has been working on this book for a long time. Like I think he said, the whole book series has been close to 10 years. And so the fact that he sent us a copy of this is just absolutely fantastic. So, Rick, if you're listening to this, first of all, congratulations. And second of all, just thank you. Oops, wrong camera. I'm going to show it here. I'm holding it up close, so everybody can see it. Really proud of you, buddy. You did a great job. I can't wait to start chewing on this thing and start playing. This whole thing is all. What's that?
There's like over 300 songs that he's got in there too.
Yeah. And it's all different, it's all shuffle stuff, and over 300 beats. And, he's just, it's so cool that he's worked so diligently on this. So that's my good thing. My good thing is that my buddy Rick came out with a new book, and I'm really happy for him. So, way to go, bud.
What you, Chip?
Hey, about me, Mike, I got a couple students that are doing really good, that's making progress playing the drums. I'm teaching a 65-year-old lady some drums for the first time. She's hitting it, and that's going really good. And I finished editing my chapter 10 of my book, Stick Tricks and Showmanship. I'm excited about that. And I got to see a couple really young drummers nailing some stuff in Jeremy's side of the woods. So that was good for me too.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm going to share that in a second, if you guys don't mind. I had a drum recital this past weekend for all my students, and this is something we haven't done since before COVID. And we went to the back room, Bryan, and all my students got to play one tune with a backing track. And I have a couple of really brief video clips that I'd love to share if you guys are down with it.
Would love to see.
Okay, and then I'll kick it to you, Bryan. But let me show you guys this, because it was super inspiring. And another piece of, I'll just do one little other piece of good news for me, is my son Evan, who, as you know, is a terrific jazz piano player, just got accepted to University of North Texas.
Oh, fantastic.
Awesome.
and Cal State Northridge. So far he's 4 for 4 of all the schools he's applied to. We still got
Northridge is good too. Yeah.
he's still got another 10 or 12 that we're waiting to hear from, but so far so good. So that's
Congratulations. That's great.
That's awesome, dude.
And who is this, Jeremy?
This is Gabby Chase. She's 12 years old. She just started lessons with me about 6 months ago, but she was playing for a little bit on her own before that, watching YouTube and stuff. And man, she is, I'll let her speak for herself here. Isn't that fantastic?
Man,
That's
dude, that doesn't make you want to shake your butt. Nothing will.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, man.
That girl's got pocket like for days.
No
That's-
kidding.
Yeah, and then here's my sort of all-star student Max, who's he's been taking drum lessons with me since he was 6 years old. He's 16 now. He's in sophomore in high school at Berkeley High, in the top jazz group there. And this is him playing. I'll just got a little excerpt of the drum solo he played here on the Snarky Puppy tune called "What About Me." Check it out.
Dang.
Wow.
Kid's got more chops than a butcher shop, man. Sound like Chip Ritter playing drums. Ding, ding, ding. That was awesome.
Out of Chip Ritter's book for sure. Yeah,
That was cool.
That was awesome, man.
Super
That
fun.
was-
It was so gratifying, man. I love seeing these kids play at such a high level.
Yeah.
So fun, so inspiring. Brian, what's going on for you that's going well, man?
Well, that actually just blew my mind seeing those kids. I guess, there's been a lot of stuff going on for us in our family. So my dad passed away in December.
Sorry.
Still, thank you. It was still quite a shock, but I would say the positive side of that, and the thing that's great, is that people have just come out of the woodwork. People I've never met, people that I haven't seen for 20, 30 years have contacted us, and just to say how much my dad meant to them. So my dad was a classical pianist and taught his whole adult life. Like he most of his career was in Chico, teaching at Chico State. But then after he retired, he became a professor and had students until literally the night before he passed. He was teaching piano lessons. So and he loved teaching. I was one of his piano students as well. But I would say just the larger, what I feel very lucky and happy about is just knowing how many lives he touched. And when I saw those students, it really made me think about him and how how much that must fill you up, and you two others who teach. It must make you feel so good when you have a student who just gets it and they're just so excited, and they take it to a new level that you didn't even think of. That's an amazing thing. It's an amazing way to reach people. So to wrap it up, on April 6th, we're having a big blowout life celebration for my dad, and we have like 50 people are going to perform. So
Wow.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's going to be really, really cool. So
Oh, that's beautiful. Where's that going to happen?
up in Chico, where he was from. So
Uh-huh.
yeah,
So Bryan, did you start on piano growing up?
I did. And I still play piano, but just not, like I don't play gigs often on piano, every now and then, but mostly drums.
Is it classical or jazz or
Both.
uh-huh. Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
I was studying Bach with my dad before he passed. So
Wow.
yeah.
Wow,
That's cool.
man. That's
Do-
really cool, man.
Do you think that starting out, and not just starting out, but like, I mean, I took, piano lessons for 2 years before I gave it up and switched to drums. So I have like zero piano skills, unfortunately. I wish I'd stuck with it. But do you feel that your piano training informed your drumming? I must have.
I think it must have, yeah. I mean, one of the things is just that drumming is amazing because it's just all about the rhythm, and you do have some voices to play with, but you don't have that many, right? So you have to be really creative when creating when you're soloing or accompanying other people with how am I going to make this melodic, somehow.
Yeah.
So for me, piano is my connection to melody and chords, and just those other aspects of music that I feel are really important to understand. And so I would say that when I'm playing drums, I'm listening really intently to the form of the tune and just phrasing and just listening to like how the saxophone player creates motion through his lines and things like that, or her lines. I mean, I guess it's just it just gives me a little bit more sense of feeling like I'm part of the music,
Yeah. Well, I can attest. I've heard Bryan play on a handful of occasions, and he's a super sympathetic player with absolutely fantastic feel and really creative. I really love your drumming, Bryan.
Oh, thank you so much. It's nice to hear.
Yeah.
Likewise. Absolutely.
Thank you. So tell us about you've written a book, but we're going to get to that in a minute. But tell us about locally. I know you're super busy on the scene. You and I play with a lot of the same people and a lot of the same clubs. What projects do you have going on? Do you have are you mostly working as a sideman? Do you have your own projects?
Mostly sideman. I got a few gigs coming up with Harvey Wineapple, who's like a local saxophone player, great musician. He's also a great Brazilian player.
That's right.
But we have a gig at the Hotel Healdsburg next month, and there's one at where you're playing at Mr. Tipples gig there, and that's with Matt Clark on one of those gigs, and then Adam Schulman's playing on another one.
All both heavy piano players in the Bay Area.
Yeah, they're just incredible players. I love both of their playing.
Yeah.
And then other things, the person I introduced you to, Simon. We do gigs together sometimes at the Boathouse in Berkeley. A lot of local gigs. Then let's see what else. So I've been messing with home recording, which is kind of a new thing for me. So I've been bringing Matt Clark and Doug Miller over to record trio at my house and coming up with some pretty nice sounds. I would say the trickiest thing is recording drums.
Yeah.
It's a relatively small room. It's very difficult to get a good drum sound in that environment. I don't know if you guys have had that experience, but
Actually, this room right here that I'm in is a recording studio and my teaching studio. I teach on exactly what we're doing here online with Skype and Zoom, but then it also doubles as a recording studio. And I've recorded a couple of albums out of here, and it can be tricky, but it's like anything. After a while, you kind of start learning the little the tricks, and this will make it sound big, and stuff like that.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
There's post-production stuff you can do to help.
Yeah.
So do you have a home studio set up with all the gear?
No, I have a living room with a grand piano in it. I have a Steinway that my dad gave me.
Wow, man.
utterly ridiculous that I have this instrument in my house. But because the piano's in the living room, that's where we end up recording. So.
Sure.
How do they get the piano in the house?
Well, it's with the legs off, it's just like an upright piano. They just tip on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You take the legs off.
Exactly.
Yeah. Butter chip.
Lots of butter.
Anyway, I would say, COVID really threw a lot of us for a major loop, right? And
Yeah.
it's never quite gotten back to where I felt, where there were like steady gigs a lot. I don't know how it is in other cities, but it's definitely different than it was before COVID. But we're just, we're musicians. We keep playing no matter what.
Right.
Yeah.
To hear you guys have some touring things going.
I've been really fortunate with the group that I'm with, so I've been really fortunate, and I'm incredibly thankful. When you say you've had a little bit of trouble getting it back to where it was, you're speaking mostly of gigs now. You have a book out. Do you do any teaching? We talked a little bit about this before the show started. Do you do any teaching or very little, or how does that work for you, Bryan?
Well, yeah, to be honest, I don't do much teaching. I've done some coaching for some students from Oaktown Jazz Workshops, and you probably know Robbie.
Yeah,
he sent me some people that needed some specific coaching. Like one kid wanted to work on comping and trading fours and trading eights. So we were able to spend some time. I was playing piano and she was playing drums, and we could just workshop. And that, to me, that's my favorite way to teach is in workshop settings. What were you going to say?
I hate to break it to you, Bryan, but that's teaching.
Right. Yeah, maybe I'm just coming to this realization, but
welcome.
Let's just say this. I like it when I'm able to play with another person and then talk about what happened. So in the teaching setting, sometimes it's just, you just have your student at the drum set and you're like trying to, get some concept across, and they're playing, and then you take a turn playing. But when you're playing together, it's like, just that feeling of creativity that's happening in the moment. Then you can talk about that. To me, that's more important, than any little technical advice you give somebody. How is that feeling? When you played you played 4 bars and you ended on the end of 4, what did that feel like? Was that a little more interesting than just landing on 1, or even on it? Just like you can talk about resolution points, you can talk about phrasing and all this stuff within the context of playing, which is, I know you do that with your kids too. So that's fantastic. Yeah.
I think that way is kind of it's more of a real world conceptualizing. This is how this would work live, because basically that's what you're doing. You're just kind of playing like you would in a live environment, but kind of being able to stop and be poignant about, hey, like you just said, hey, you landed on the downbeat of 4. Did you think that resolved better? Or do you think if we landed on the downbeat on 1, would it? That's a fantastic way to teach. And yeah, very much so. I love that.
I wish that I played piano well enough to be able to play with my students and accompany them, because I mean, that's like, giving them the experience of what the experience is about,
Right.
Practicing drums, and that's sort of for yourself, but then there's the playing, and all the practicing should be in service to the playing.
Yeah.
And I think it's immediate. Exactly, Jeremy, you hit the nail on the head, because then you're like, okay, this is how you do, here's what I'm playing. Now here's how you serve that well. Here's how you.
We've talked about this quite a bit on our show in various contexts. That especially, I think in the culture of drumming and drummers, there's a lot of focus on technique and chops and speed, and sort of to the detriment sometimes of serving the music. And Bart always says, what are your groove, time, and feel, or sort of the song. What's the most important thing on the stage is the song. That's what you say, right?
Yeah.
And we're all
the three most important things to the song are groove, time, and feel.
Yeah. But just remembering that the drumming is part of a bigger picture. And that, you're part of this delivery of this whole emotional experience with the music, and you have to serve that whole and not just drumming for its own sake. That's great and that can be fun, but if we're talking about music, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Completely. Talk to us about your book, Bryan. You have a book out, and let's talk about what that is.
Yeah, so the book is called Syncopation Companion, and it's a companion to this. Most everyone knows this book, I assume.
Oh, yeah.
And this syncopation is one of the probably the most versatile books that I've ever come across. And it's mainly because of the pages, the pages that start on page 38.
38. Right on.
So, you guys have probably like your finger marks are all over these pages.
Yep.
So it's like for years and years and years, I was using this book, not because I was married to it or thought it was some kind of religious text, but because it's so damn easy to pick up. And every other book was I found tedious, and this one, I've been able to create my own exercises based on other people's ideas. Gosh, I mean, there's just a long list of people who did a lot with syncopation, but Alan Dawson is the king. He's the one that taught Tony Williams, and he was way into syncopation. And he had just like he called it the ways of playing. There's like I don't know how many ways, 26 or more.
Yep.
John Riley's book pretty much outlines all of his teachings in a really nice way. So if you guys have seen that book, that's an excellent book. So anyway,
this one right here, The Art of Bop. This is John Riley's book.
John Ramsey.
Ramsey.
Okay.
Sorry, John.
No. Is it Alan Ramsey?
John
Ramsey.
Yeah, and he wrote a book basically about Alan Dawson and like all of his teachings, and it's got the rudimental, the what do they call it, the ritual, rudimental ritual. So anyway, not to digress too much, but basically, so the Syncopation Companion book is my practice book from the last 30 years. And I was compiling it, and I started putting it into on the computer, and I had enough of it to where I'm like, you know what, something has to, this is it. This is a really interesting book if you guys haven't seen it. And John Ramsey is a great drummer from Boston.
Right.
Yeah. And he was a student of Alan Dawson's for many years.
Yep.
At any rate, at a certain point, I got the book into somewhat of a form that I could share it, and I just took a long shot and sent it to Chuck Schur, and asked him, "What do you think? Are you interested in doing a book?" And he had a number of drummers that he sent it out to, and he said, "My readers think it's great. Why don't you make a book?" And so
nice.
And he wasn't promising, like the book industry is very, very difficult. So I had to get all the endorsements before he said yes.
Right.
We needed to have like 9 or 10 endorsements, and some people did endorse it that I am super huge fan of all these people, so like Erskine liked it and really nice things about the book. And I think actually his description of the book is probably maybe the best one I've heard. I haven't been able to come up with an elevator pitch for the book like he did. He said the revisit and expansion on the topics of syncopation and rudimental drumming bridges the gap for me, as I'm sure it will for many other drummers, as well as providing a beautifully useful tool for students of the Reed, Dawson, and Wilcoxon methods, right, and etudes. So it really is kind of a rudimental approach, but it's a fun rudimental approach. So you're working on all the rudiments, the flams, the roughs, the buzz rolls, 5-stroke rolls, all those, but they're mixed, you know. So like within the first page, Jeremy, do you have
I do
nearby, or I mean,
yeah.
because you know it'd be interesting just to have you look at the first exercise and just or one of you with the drum set near you.
I don't have a copy of it.
Oh,
So I don't have one.
at any rate, I would do that, but I would have. My sound thing just was not going to work today, so.
Yeah, I've got it here. Hang on one second.
Yeah, so like let's skip the first example, but go on to on page 6.
Page six. Got it.
Looks like this. Let's see if I can show that to you.
Oh,
Okay.
let's see. How about yeah, let's share your. I'm gonna make you the solo screen.
Okay.
Oh, that's not the one. Sorry. Hold on one sec.
Not me. Hello, everybody.
Brian.
This is professional show business at its finest. This is it. This is what it's about.
There we go.
There we go. There's Brian. Look at
Okay.
that handsome dude. Okay, so what do we got?
All right. So this,
One and two and
so this is just a 4-measure exercise, right? It's the first 4 measures of that syncopation, page 38. And you can see that the top line that you don't play is the key. That's the original rhythm.
okay.
And then
Oh wait, no, sorry. So 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4 and a 1.
right? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You can
So
almost-
I'm trying to read it. It's blurry.
yeah, it's not the best.
That's okay. That's okay.
Down here, do you see what I did?
Yeah.
Example 2A2. Now it's
Go.
now it's a buzz roll. So it's just a single buzz.
Oh, just a single buzz drum.
Yeah.
Just about.
Yep.
Yeah. Good job.
And then this is that other the one that Jeremy mentioned earlier.
Which one are we looking at here?
Just tell me when this is getting old, guys. I'm sorry.
No, this
That's
is
good.
fine.
You're talking to the wrong dudes. We could do this for hours, man.
Yeah.
This is an 8-measure phrase.
I'm so good at making a fool out of myself on the internet. It's like
That sounded great though. So
oh, Jeremy's playing. Sorry. Go ahead, Jeremy. Go for it.
That's right. That's how we go.
yeah, so the rolls actually start with an accent.
Move it up just a little bit.
Okay. Is that good?
No, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
One. There we got it.
Okay. So now look at the third. Look at the sticking. That's the third one.
You're
down.
killing it, Bart.
Yep.
Look at this.
The third one down?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see it now.
Yeah.
Do that again, Jeremy. Do it again. You can see it better.
The third one down.
You have the book in front of you. That's not fair. Oh, that's bitchin'. So that's the one you were talking about where the accent's on the front of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm seeing half of it because I see it at I see Bryan Bowman, then I see the second half of the phrase. That's
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Jeremy's got the book. Jeremy, keep playing it. Keep playing it.
All right, so we're taking it from the top. Go a little slower. The
Are
30.
you going from the very top, or are you going from the last bar or the last 2 bars?
I was going to take the whole 8 bars.
Go for it.
I'll
Go.
go with the third sticking, the tricky one.
Okay, go for it.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
We're such a bunch of drum nerds.
Totally.
To me, that's really fun.
I love it.
And so the book kind of continues to pick at all these various different ways of accenting the notes that are written, the syncopated notes that you see written in like on page 38, for example. Again, you can buzz the notes starting with an accent. And that's getting a little bit more into maybe like a more New Orleans kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Go
for it, Jeremy. You're a New Orleans guy.
what page is that?
What page is that?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's page 8.
Page 8.
Page 8.
Let's see. You can swing it, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And should I go on or should we stop? I'm fine.
Well, let's talk
The thing
about.
is, you can't see. Chip is eating something right now. Now I'm hungry. He's
Bryan,
not on screen.
I mean,
I'm eating popcorn watching this.
Bryan, you've got over 100 different ways in your book to treat those 8 pages in syncopation, right?
Yes, it's a lot of stuff. So I would just say, so we don't talk about this anymore. Any exercise that you're interested in, and I remember like Terry Bozzio used to say this. Like I heard him in interviews. He said, if I ever like something on a record, I figure out what it is, I transcribe it, and then I make up a lot of exercises so that I can use it in all these different contexts. So it's not just like like triplets, endless right left bass drum triplet patterns or something like that. You figure out a way to use it in a musical way, and so it's like plugging all these different things into syncopation has been really super fun and helpful for me.
Okay, so question then, a couple of things that we were playing there. Give us an example, if you could, of plugging that into like a musical context. Like, would it be a solo type of thing, or where would you utilize one of these?
I would say solo, definitely. It's probably
most definitely.
A lot of it ends up being very dense, and whether that's always the issue with practicing. It's like, what is this for? Why do you want this? And I was also having a lot of trouble with my hands when I started messing with that inverted double stroke roll with the right hand starting and then the doubles following.
Oh yeah, I was just trying it. Was like, whoa, it's backwards.
Yeah, it's easy and it's great to get around the kit because like any accent, you have time to move your hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
The doubles are over here, and then you have time to reach cymbal or bass drum and cymbal or floor toms, rack toms.
Yeah.
For the accents, it's just different. It sounds different. It feels different.
Bryan, these exercises are not just rudimental, though, right? Like you have sections in the book that take syncopation and sort of like Alan, what's his name, Alan Dawson did, and applying those syncopation interpretations to jazz, to Latin, to Afro-Cuban stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's not just a rudimental book. It's really sort of a pan style approach, right? You got it's like if you're taking the source material, like these 8 pages that we all know so well from the syncopation book, and you're like, all right, what you sort of like took the Terry Bozzio approach to it. Like, okay, how can I tweak these and come up with different and creative ways to apply them in a useful and musical way in like all kinds of situations, soloing, jazz, funk, Latin.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sound-
Yeah. God, I feel bad. I don't want to take up like all of the time.
No, that's what this is. This is
That's
about.
what we're here for.
Okay. So one of the things that I realized is that you can, when you see these 8th note figures,
Yeah.
you can
I'm
also,
on page 38 right now. So
yeah, if you're on page 38,
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Me?
Okay.
Oh yeah.
No,
So each of the 8th notes can become a quarter note.
Right.
Okay. So I have an example of what I did here. I wrote out quarter notes. See, the key above is the original rhythm. So it's still that same dot, 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 right?
Uh-huh.
But now they're quarter notes. And once you create quarter notes, you can start to ornament the quarter notes. So instead of so look at the very top line we have in the first measure, it's 1, 2, rest, 4, right?
Right.
So for each quarter note, I assigned an 8th note to it.
Oh, okay.
And so then I added a note before each quarter note. So do you see what's happening there?
Mm-hmm.
So instead of I have you know what I mean? Like now it's just a framework, or it's a phrase. It's sort of like the quarter notes are dictating the phrase. So you have forgive me if I'm not too good at
No, it's okay.
Let me see. There's a simpler example here. So
Is it putting it that you're basically you're just subdividing within the phrase, right? So if the phrase is, forget about whether you call it 8ths or quarters. If it's bop 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 bop, you can go da 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 da.
Yes.
Right.
So this is simpler, right? Look at it. So every time you have a quarter note, you play 2 8th notes.
Right.
So in the
Okay.
in the first couple measures, you have da 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 da, and then da 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 da.
I see. Okay, yeah.
So now that you have that, it's kind of endless. Once you start messing with it, it's just like, okay, anything you want to do. But you have 8 pages of these quarter note rhythms now that you used to think of as 8th note syncopations, right? Now you have this framework for creating phrases. It's really interesting because like, for example, I extrapolated by adding an 8th note before.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So this so like how we just did 2 8th notes for each quarter note, right?
Yeah.
I'm adding a note before each quarter note and after each quarter note.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So now it's da 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 da.
That just sounds like that sounds like a bebop melody.
Yeah, it does.
Right.
Yeah.
So exactly. So then you can go so I'm putting a rough before each quarter note.
Right.
Oh,
It's kind of like it's making it more musical.
It's making it more musical, and it's just throwing phrases at you.
Yeah.
Not all of that. This gets back to what you were saying, what you guys were asking about. Like, how is this music? To me, the quarter note interpretation of these pages is so much more musical. Because like I'm sure you've sat there at the drum kit and gone like da 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 da.
Yeah.
How fucking musical is that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That is a that is probably one. I mean, it's like great to know how to do, but you'd never use that on the bandstand, or they'd fire your ass, right?
Right.
I,
Right.
you can make these much more musical as comping phrases, right? I'm sure you guys have done like take one measure and play it 3 times, and then the next one play it once for
Right.
a 4-measure phrase. So you have some continuity.
Mm-hmm.
But the quarter note interpretation, like I was just showing you, that lends itself to just all kinds of shit. And then
That's cool.
and once you start messing around on the kit, like you move those voices around, just like, I mean, I've been just going in a circle. Like every time there's a new note, I go to a new surface. So it's like floor tom, rack tom, snare. So da 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 do da do 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 da do 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 do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the quarter note interpretation, and I haven't really written all those out, and I'm not sure if I ever would bother making another book, but to me that's pretty interesting stuff. But that's the kind of thing that when you're working on the syncopation companion stuff, you'll start having ideas, and they're your ideas now. It's really just the launching point in my opinion.
Yeah, right.
It's kind of what you were saying about when we were watching Jeremy's, students at the beginning of the show. It really it gives the person who's practicing it a launching point, as you said, to kind of take it on into their own world and make it theirs. I mean, syncopation is so revered these pages, as okay, let's move it around the kit. And you've just kind of taken it to this next level. Let's play it this way. Let's play it this way. Now you've, conceptualized it into your book, and let's play these things this way. It just fosters a new way of thinking, I think.
Right.
Yeah. I should add though that this is really, I mean, I wouldn't say it's utterly original. I mean, these are things I heard Marvin Smitty Smith had some exercises that he gave to Bobby Lurie a number of years ago, and Bobby turned me on to them. They're not, nobody owns this stuff exclusively.
Right.
I've been able to just borrow things from other places, and I tried to cite the people that I knew. Alan Dawson cited a lot in the book.
Mm-hmm.
He just did a lot of these things, and his students had like reams of their own pages of things that never got published. So I mean, I was lucky enough to publish the book. It's not my stuff exclusively, it's just it's ours,
But, I mean, it's your way of thinking, and your way of framing and organizing it, and that's to me what's valuable about most drum books when they're valuable. Like if you think about syncopation, I mean, that's just a book of some random rhythms,
Exactly.
And anybody could have written that book, right? As great a bestseller as it is. Even things like Gary Chester's New Breed book. Like, I mean, sort of a similar kind of approach, but not, more thinking in terms of rock and funk.
Yeah.
Here are all these different systems, and here's a solo line. Okay, now change the setup of the systems and change which limb plays the solo line. That's sort of the same concept, and that's Alan Dawson's concept, right, with syncopation.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
You've just taken that to that next level still. Like, as you sat here with these exercises and you found yourself bored and looking for something new that was stimulating and relevant and musical, you put this together in a really beautiful way. So, check it out, people. Chip put the link in the chat. You can check it out at Bryan Bowman Music. That's Bryan with a Y, Bryan Bowman Music. And you can check it also. Is it available other places?
It's available any like all over the place.
So
Amazon has it. I mean, Chuck and I would prefer you buy it from Chuck Sure Music.
Mm-hmm.
I can put a link in the chat for that.
Cool.
I like, Bryan, that you're, hey, these are, you're citing other musicians and citing people. But again, I think, these are your concepts and these are your ideas that you're even though you borrowed from somebody else. But I think that's the beauty about the drumming community, and as Bissonette said, good composers borrow and great composers steal. And you've just taken you've taken the ideas and you've put them into a book format, and congratulations to you on it. I think it's, and you're going to touch people with this. I mean, think about all the drummers that are going to play through this book and that you've helped their career because of it. So good on you for it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Very sweet of you to say. Thank you. I'm super excited to get to share it with you guys. As you can tell, I'm kind of like I get excited about it. It's fun stuff, It's like I've always found practicing to be. It's hard for me to get started because I'm just like, okay, I'm going to do something boring and it's not going to help. But the minute I get into this, it's like, oh, all of a sudden it's fun. I'm enjoying myself. And I think, we find ways to trick ourselves into spending more time just doing those things that help increase our musicality and develop technique. Because like Vinny was like, practice this 1,000 times.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to fucking do that. Right?
It's true.
It's like certain people are cut out for that. Certain people's brains that they work like that. They latch onto something and they can sit there and grind and get all the juice, every drop of juice out of it. And then there's a lot of other people, I'd say most, who that's not going to work for them.
Exactly.
If you just have a way to sit down and give yourself, okay, I'm going to give myself 15 minutes on this. And think about this for a minute. Let's say you take one of those 8-bar phrases out of your book with one of the stickings, okay? And I'm going to sit down for 15 minutes with this, or I'm going to sit down for 5 minutes with this sticking.
Yeah.
And you really do just that.
Yeah.
For 5 minutes, not, don't get distracted by a shiny object. Sit there and do that for 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to see so much you're going to really be moving forward if you can do that every day for a week. Because that 5 minutes, a lot of people will say, oh yeah, I practiced for 5 minutes, but did you really? Did I really put in that time?
Yeah. Well, Bart, that's a good point. One of the things I write about this in my book, I know you guys have all read, about how ineffectively so many students practice.
Yep.
And they're so eager to always learn the next thing that they never spend enough time with the first thing. And so you end up being sort of, halfway decent at a whole bunch of stuff and not very good at anything,
Yeah.
So which may sound like it's talking like, oh, like Vinny says 1,000 times, but no. It's really not about that. It's about the quality of the practice and the focus.
Correct.
And the mastery of what you're trying to work on. One thing.
Very much so. Those are amazing points. Chip, we haven't even let you talk. I want to let you say something.
It looks like this is extrapolating on the stick control book and the syncopation book, and I really like how you're doing it. I'm interested in getting a copy, and the only question I would have is, what's the age group for this book? How old do you have to be to get into it?
Oh, that's a good question. I actually, on the cover of the book, I wrote for intermediate and advanced students, and I'm sort of regretting it because I don't think it's just for those that the older students, maybe high school to college age students. It's just that I think you have to be able to, your conceptual development has to be such that you can extrapolate, that you can see a phrase and you can make believe it's something that it's not.
Yeah.
Like when you do that with that first page, like if you say, I'm going to work on triplet accents. So it's like, that's using your imagination. That's not written,
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And so like I give them a snippet and they have to be able to, so they sort of have to be versed in what the rudiments are, like how to play a double stroke roll, how to play a single stroke roll. And then to be able to take it to the level of, okay, I'm working on double strokes and I'm going to take double strokes through all 8 pages of syncopation.
Right.
It takes care of the rough. It takes care of, or the 3-stroke roll, 5-stroke roll, 7-stroke roll, 9-stroke roll,
right,
and others,
yeah.
depending
Well,
on
That's cool.
That it's so funny. Yesterday, I was showing one of my students who's a jazz, sort of relatively beginning adult jazz player. We were going through syncopation, those 8 pages, right? That's a go-to touchstone for me that I use for all my jazz students, and do a lot of the Alan Dawson methods, and sometimes we invent some different ones, and sometimes they invent some different ones. And I showed them the one where it's the triplet. It's just the one you just said, the triplet accents, where you're playing constant triplet single strokes with your hands, but you're accenting the line that's written, so bop 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 bop, and so on. And he was like, "Wow, what a cool concept! Thanks. Wow, you come up with all these really cool ideas." And I was like, "Well, it wasn't really my idea, but but it works." And it also, every time. So when I'm working with my jazz students, we'll go through the 8 pages, and then we'll finish some treatment of it, and then we'll go back to the beginning and do a different treatment, right?
Something different. Yeah, exactly.
And each time you go back to the beginning, when you have to put those new glasses on, when you're doing that new imagined interpretation, it's hard again.
Oh yeah.
It's still going. It's like, oh wait, I have to do this in my brain, But then by the time they're done with the first page, then it cruises, right? Then they get.
Yeah.
And I think that what you're talking about, that idea of conceptualizing or imagining, is actually a really important skill that helps drummers be creative too, because you're not just playing something that's written on the page. You're having to imagine it and then make it happen.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, imagine if you're reading, I don't know how much big band drumming anybody does anymore, but like I remember when I was in college and I was like reading these figures that the trumpet players were playing, and
Right.
and they'd have like some hits that like, oh, I'm supposed to hit this, so I like put some glasses above it, and I'm supposed to hit the end of 2, right?
Right.
This gives you a little bit more perspective on what that means. Like how are the ways you can get to that end of 2?
Right.
What are the different ways? How can you accent 2? You can play a cymbal and a bass drum really hard. That's
Right.
one way to play it. Or you could play it like Kenny Wollesen would just play like a very light buzz stroke on the snare drum, and it was hip as hell.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, it's your choice. And the more kind of possibilities you run through in the practice room, when you get to the bandstand, you're not thinking about it. It's kind of like all automatic, like that kid playing that shit that was so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The happy monkey or whatever, the bad puppy.
Snarky puppy.
Snarky puppy, happy monkey. I love this song title.
That's the band. Those are the
Hold
band.
on, I gotta write this down. Remember, good composers
Happy
borrow, great
Monkey.
composers steal. I'm
That's a good name
thinking.
for a band. I'm going to steal that one. My next band is going to be called Happy Monkey.
My apologies. I didn't mean to poke fun at Snarky Puppy, but they're motherfuckers. And you know what? Like, excuse my language again.
No, let it rip.
That kid is going to be so good, man.
He's
Yeah.
already
Yeah.
He's playing that kind of stuff now. I mean, 10 years from now, it's going to be scary what he's doing.
he's already scary. So this is my student Max Mahmood, and at some point we're going to have him on the show as a guest. He's his metal band is already touring, and they already have a record deal. So he's got it going on, and it's clear he's heading on a professional track.
How cool!
It's really cool. He's amazing.
That is really cool.
That's bitching, man. That's so cool.
Yeah.
I have a quick question, Bryan. Do you well, I know you say you don't teach, but again, you kind of teach. Does a student have to have gone through syncopation to understand your book? Or
No, not necessarily. I mean,
okay.
I would say, it really depends on the individual, which is why I probably would not have added that preface with it. On the cover of the book, because it probably scares people away. It's not that beginners can't get it, but it's not the easiest thing to get. It's not like, not everything is spelled out for you. Like, here's where you put your right hand. Here's where you put your left hand.
Well, that part was actually spelled out. That was giving me trouble.
Right, but I only give you 4 measures, and you have to do the rest yourself. It's a do.
Yeah.
And so this is not like the kind of book where it's like, oh, like a lot of books, you know, they'll show you like hip grooves, and all of a sudden you're like, bam, I'm playing like Steve Gadd.
Right.
And that's great. That has its place, but this is not that kind of book.
Mm-hmm.
This is like this is for like hyper focused. Okay, I'm going to work on single stroke rolls, and I'm going to play them through syncopation, like at this speed, you know.
Okay.
That sort of thing.
It's very cool.
Yeah, it's a different kind of book, and it has had a little trouble getting traction, maybe for that reason, and also because nobody knows me. But I am excited about the book, and I would really encourage like anybody who wants to check that out, just to pick up a copy or mail. I'll buy you a copy if it's that if it's too expensive, because it's fun stuff, and I'm excited to see what happens with it, like what people do with it. You know, what the little whatever high school kids, when they pick it up, what are they going to do with it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's beautiful, Bryan. And very, very generous of you to even say that. You know, I think the three of us, and Rick included, the four of us are all published authors with drum books of different kinds. And, you know, we talked about this quite a bit on the show. Like, none of us publish books to get rich. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And so at a certain point, you're like, I just want to put this stuff out there. This is what I've learned and what I've organized and how I think about things that I think could be of value to other people. And so we have the same attitude. We're giving away books all the time. As a matter of fact, Bryan's book, Bryan has generously donated a bunch of books, I think like 7 or 8 copies of his book, for us to give away at the Deck Day clinic on April. So I think Chip put the link in the chat.
Yep. There's a link.
When is Deck Day, Jeremy?
Deck Day is April 20th, and it's going to be here in the Bay Area this time.
What is Deck Day, Jeremy?
Oh, sorry. Deck Day is the Drummers Education Connection Clinic Day. We had one of these at the Aquarian Drumheads warehouse a couple of years ago, and it was a big success. And it is sponsored by Aquarian Drumheads, as well as all the other companies that we endorse. And all these companies are giving away a ton of free gear for us to raffle off and give away to those who are in attendance. There are going to be drum clinics from the 4 of us, myself, Chip, Bart, and Rick, each going to give a 45-minute clinic on something totally different. And there's going to be a presentation by Jason Slota of Round Sound Cymbals. You probably know him, Bryan.
Absolutely.
Terrific drummer, great guy, and also a cymbal maker. We've had him on the show before. Check out that interview. It's really cool. He's going to do a presentation on how to pick cymbals and what to listen for and how to sort of put together a set of cymbals. And Mike D'Amico of Brooks Drums is going to be there. He's a master drum builder, and he's going to have a few of his snare drums and a couple of drum kits to talk about how he puts drums together. So it's just kind of like our own little, fun afternoon of drumming and hang. And you can find tickets at the link, and please come out. It's going to be a really, really fun time.
It's going to be a great time.
That sounds great. Yeah.
Bryan, thanks for being on the show, man. This has been a real treat, and I really want to check out your book. I'm always, as all of us are, thirsty for new knowledge, and I just, I always say this to my students: the book Syncopation and the book Stick Control have been within my reach. Even when I go on vacation, I throw a copy of it in my bag, with a practice pad and a pair of sticks. And it's always been in my life since I was like 8, 9 years old. I mean, even, and so having like this new tool to kind of, take and
now you're going to have 3 books.
And now I'm going to have 3 books. I'm going to have 3 books. I've got a new book.
Well, I would say if this helps you in any way, shape, or form play like Bryan Bowman, it's going to be a worthwhile book to check out.
Nice.
Well, you guys are so kind to have me on. Thank you
this has been great.
Thanks for being on.
Hey, who's coming on next week, Jeremy? Do we know?
I don't know what's up. I don't think we have a special guest for next week, but I can tell you that at the end of the month, we have Butch Norton from Lucinda Williams is going to come on.
Cool.
Super excited to talk to him. And then in April, we're going to have Todd Sucherman. So that's going to be a real treat.
That's going to be good.
That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, congratulations to you guys on this format. This is a wonderful show, and I can't wait to look at some of the backlog of shows that I haven't seen.
Cool.
We've had a lot of fun with it. You know, we did not ask him the most important
Oh.
question, which kind of, yeah, we got to ask this. But Jeremy, this might start a fight.
Well,
Go ahead, Jeremy. You do it. You do
well,
it. I'm just
this
going
is
to shut up.
particularly relevant to me. And when you guys come up to visit for Deck Day, it might be relevant to you too. Brian, we ask every one of our guests what is their favorite pizza place where they live.
Oh, a Touchstone maybe up in Kensington. We just went there the other night. I love the pizza there. It's so good.
Wait. It's not Touchstone. Isn't it
No,
called
Cornerstone, Touchstone. I think it's Touchstone.
the one on the circle?
Yes,
Benchmark.
Benchmark.
Yeah.
He likes it so much that he doesn't know the name. You renamed it.
Yes, Benchmark pizza.
Yeah, that's good.
Benchmark
Very
pizza.
good. Gourmet pizza. Very good. I won't
Right
I
on.
won't argue with Brian about that. That's really good.
Very
All right,
cool.
dude. Thanks for coming on, man. I hope we get to hang sometime soon. And you know, the only drag about you know, being friends with drummers is you don't get to play on gigs with them very often.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
But,
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Brian.
Guys, thanks for watching. This has been great.
all right, everybody. Thanks. We'll see you next week.
Take care. Bye.